Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Espérate. Me ha hecho como un reset, pero espérate. No puede ser. No screenshot. Aquí hemos estado ya, ¿no? A ver. Imagino que ya lo que nos falta es salir de aquí. Bueno, vamos.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Esta es toda mi cara, ¿no? No screenshots, ok. Okay.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Hola.
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
Con el coleccionable.
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Hostia, como el menú principal de Stanley Parable 2. Ojo, mira cómo se mueve. Oye, pues ahora más está guapo, ¿eh? Estaría guay que fuese. Oye, la interfaz muy como nuevo juego. Créditos y salida del escritorio. ¿Le doy a salir del escritorio? No lo voy a dar. Qué guapo, tío. Da un poco de mal rollo, pero a veces como que te dan ganas de jugar la segunda parte de este juego, el cual tiene muchos finales. Iniciar partida. Está guay, tío.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building
Pero ya estaba,
where he
¿no?
was employee number 427. Sí. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in.
Es diferente la cinemática. Diferente.
And Stanley was happy.
Vale.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Hay globos por todas partes. Aquí no, pero aquí hay uno. Según la cinemática, aquí hay otro. Aquí.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley just... Oh, please.
No.
Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth?
No lo voy a hacer, no lo voy a hacer.
No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
Input sí, no pasa en todos, ¿no? Está pagando en todos. A ver qué pasa aquí con tantísimo globo.
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
¡Qué balde! ¡Ah! ¡El cubo!
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Balde no, cubo. ¡Ah, que está aquí! Vamos a ver.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Derecha.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Tú de cargo lift. Venga, vamos al montacargas, a ver.
Good,
said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk.
No voy a
But
tirarme,
Stanley
no voy a
chose
tirar.
not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
A ver. ¿Lo cojo o
Now
no?
pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Vamos a cogerlo.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
¿Y dónde está el cubo? ¿Y por qué le llama balde? Esta es la casa de Stanley. Las 12. Ahí está. Hola, Stanley, soy yo, tu balde. Oprime L para llevarme al trabajo contigo. ¿Y por qué? Tengo que hacerte caso. Venga, let's go.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Y vuelvo a la oficina. Oprime I para llevarme de vuelta a casa contigo. Pero espérate, no quiero. Yo quiero seguir con las puertas y otros final. Bueno, a ver, es otro final esto.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Ok.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket.
It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
No le hagas caso al tipo que grita. Oprime V para que volvamos a casa.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Oprime G para ignorar a todo el mundo excepto a mí. Vamos a seguir llevándonos con el cubo.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
¿Tú crees que existo, no, Stanley? Oprime X para volver a casa otra vez. Venga. Se va a mosquear el
I
nadador.
suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket.
Oh.
It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier. More capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Oprime F para vivir una y otra vez el mismo día conmigo.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Oprimido para ir de casa al trabajo a casa al trabajo a casa.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket.
Y la música, tío. Mira, velas y
What's
todo.
going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley,
Mola
give
el
me the
dormitorio,
bucket.
de
Give it to
Stanley.
me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
¡Oh! Nadador siempre saliéndose con la suya. Vuelve al trabajo, Stanley. ¿Cómo puedo? Y el trabajo está todo apagado. ¡No! No está en el cubo.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Bueno.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms.
Vamos a hacerlo con la mano, con la parte izquierda, a ver. ¿Qué se metió con él?
Touched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door.
Venga, vamos a la izquierda con ella. A ver, ¿qué nos encontramos?
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Vamos para allá. ¿Esto estaba?
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now.
Quiere que lo deje ahí.
It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard
No
it
se
must
puede
be,
dejar.
given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket
Pero
have shared.
cállate ya.
Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket, as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
O sea que en realidad se ha hinchado a hablar porque... Y a pesar de ello no puedo dejar el cubo.
Okay, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
¿Subimos o bajamos? Vamos a subir, venga. O sea, creo que el cubo hace que las cosas con respecto a la versión original cambien. Si me voy al baño con el cubo... ¡Eh!
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done.
Vale.
You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Ok. Es como... En realidad no tienen nada, pero a su vez es como si las recolectas, pues... ¿Eso que te llevas? Vamos a ver con el cubo que nos encontramos en el ascensor este, porque aquí como tal no hay nada. Porque ha venido el ascensor, pero no... Nos hemos montado en él, pues no ha hecho nada. Este ascensor en realidad no tiene nada, ¿no? Por más que lo ponga para arriba o para abajo, no hace nada. Esto está brilloso. Eso está brilla.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Si pongo 0, 0, 0, 0, ¿qué pasa?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs, trying to input anything on
Voy
the
a poner el
device was
código porque
useless,
si no...
since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
¿Ponemos otro?
$2845.
Y si no lo pongo, ¿qué pasa? Se va a mosquear conmigo, ¿no? 6969. Se enfada conmigo, ¿eh?
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by
O sea que por
itself,
narices
and
se
Stanley
abre.
got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
O sea que da igual. Da igual el código. Sale directamente aquí esto. Otro coleccionable.
Another miniature Stanley figurine.
3 de 6, let's go.
You know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about
Stanleycitos.
Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Si lo pongo bien ahora, 2845, ¿no? No veo bien, ese es el problema. 2 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Uy. A ver. 2. No. Ahí está el 8. Lo voy a intentar, ¿vale? 2. No, me he liado. 2. Sale el efectito, pero en realidad no hace nada. No pasa nada. De arriba, ¿eh? Ah, no, es abajo sí o sí. Por narices. Vale, a ver.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Ok. Digamos que la cubeta hace que en realidad todas las decisiones de Stanley Parable por defecto cambien. O sea, la cubeta es el medio para aplicar el DLC. Llevo la cubeta para ver cosas nuevas, diferentes. ¿Puedo subir? ¿Puedo subir? ¡Ah!
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
¿Y si vuelvo a bajar? ¿Y qué nos encontramos aquí? ¿Hasta encendido esto?
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over.
Venga, 3, 3, 3.
Wow, he said. The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
¿Y de qué sirve poner el 3, 3, 3, 3, 3? En realidad no ha hecho nada más que poner esto y ya está. Bajamos.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
¿Le doy otra vez para arriba? Vamos para arriba.
No, 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 said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Lo del cubo, tío, no le veo ningún sentido. Bueno, no le veo ningún sentido a muchas cosas. Es lo guapo de esto. Vale, le voy a dar al 3 otra vez. ¡Qué locura!
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all. Only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Se va a enfadar conmigo, ¿eh? Tú eras el narrador. Sí, ya no me dice nada.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
¡No!
For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around
Stanley
it,
Parable
developing
3.
and rehearsing it until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
¿El 3? ¿Se ha escuchado el sonido de la puerta de Minecraft? ¿Verdad que sí? ¿Se ha escuchado como Minecraft? Tres, 4, 2, 7.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one. There was no one here. Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure, and in that moment Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
No puedo tirar. Oh, qué pena. ¿Nani? Oh, no. Gracias por ver este episodio de Estadio Parable. Recordad que todos los episodios están en el canal de DELUXE y podéis verlos cuando queráis. Muchas gracias por apoyar este contenido y nos vemos en el próximo vídeo.